This is CGTN, China Global Television Network.
Multiple civilian deaths following an explosion outside mosque in Afghan capital Kabul. Algeria now bans French military aircrafts from its airspace as tensions escalate. And what next in the tensions between the UN and Ethiopia as Horn of Africa nation names the new government tomorrow? Hello and thank you for joining us on Africa Live. I am Peninah Karibe. We start in Afghanistan, where multiple civilians are reported dead after an explosion outside the Eidgah Mosque in Kabul. Initial reports say that 8 people were killed and another 13 wounded in the blast. Ambulances carried the wounded to Kabul's emergency hospital. The blast occurred on the main road just outside the mosque, which is one of the most important in the country. The mosque was holding a memorial service for the mother of a Taliban spokesperson. No one has claimed responsibility for the attack. There have been several attacks by the Islamic State terrorist group since the Taliban takeover of of Afghanistan in mid-August. Let's get more from our correspondent Zmarialai Abbasin in Kabul. Abbasin, what more do we know at this time about the blast and the victims?
Hello, Tanina. Well, the last stance and statement by the Taliban, according to the casualties, is 2 people who were according to the Taliban or civilians. The Taliban Ministry for Interior Affairs spokesperson Saeed Hosi confirmed that at least 2 civilians were killed and 4 other injured. While according to the witness in the area that I've been talking with through the telephone call, they confirmed at the beginning hours that they saw at least 10 dead bodies in the area and more than 10 to 15 people who were badly injured in the attack. The attack occurs in a ceremony of the prayers because the acting Deputy Minister for Information and Culture, Zabila Mujahid's mother, passed away last week, and there was the Fatiha or the after funeral ceremony for this, and the services where thousands of people were going to the mosque in Kabul. This is the biggest mosque of the city, where thousands of people were joining the ceremony. And the main gate, which is on the main road and first police district of Kabul, there were gathering of the people, whether it's not clear that they were going to join the ceremony in prayers or they were the civilian people. But that was the spot when a suicider, according to the first-hand information, started attacking them and explode himself. Whether it's not clear it was an explosion or blast by something else or a suicide attack, but witness said it was a suicide attack. On the other hand, there are also information that there were several other people of the attackers which are unknown at this moment, and no one has claimed responsibility for the attack or captured by the Taliban. The Taliban haven't issued anything new about this, but their account says they're investigating the issue in this regard. The incident was the second after the deadliest attack in Kabul airport during the evacuation process of 29th of August, and the people are now already concerning about the security situation. They thought that if the Taliban take power, there would be no suicide attacks in blast. But after this attack, that the Taliban are fully in control of the country, they have formed their interim government, it's a concern. While emergency hospital in heart of the Kabul, they also confirmed 4 people were brought while they were wounded to the hospital, and at least 1 of them are in a critical condition, as I've been talking to the sources inside the hospital. And many others believe, like the witness said, at least 3 people are killed and many more casualties will come up. But again, the Taliban haven't come with the newest information in this regard, and also the road was blocked for at least 3 hours, and then it was open normally, and the traffic is now normally engaging to the area. But the question remains, ISKP hasn't claimed responsibility for this attack, but if they claim the attack, this would be a challenging issue for the Taliban government now, and not only for the Taliban, but for the people of Afghanistan as we are reaching closer to the winter, and that's usually a season for such attacks and the complex attacks that have been occurring in Afghanistan since last 20 years. So it's all about the future of Afghanistan, and we have to wait for this. Peninah.
All right, as Marilai, thank you very much for that. Marilai Abbasin, live for us in Kabul. Algeria has banned French military planes from its airspace, according to AFP, citing the French army. The move comes amid tensions over visas and contentious comments attributed to French President Emmanuel Macron. The French army source, however, says that the ban won't affect France's operations or its intelligence missions in the Sahel. Algeria on Saturday recalled its ambassador from Paris for consultations over comments by President Macron, as he is reported saying Algeria is ruled by a political military system. The Algerian presidency has released a statement calling it an inadmissible interference in its internal affairs. Macron was also reported describing the former French colony as having an official history which has been totally rewritten. Those remarks have been denied by Macron himself. The two countries' relations are tense following France's decision to cut the number of visas it issues to Algeria. A former senior official in an interim government for Ethiopia's Tigray region has appeared in court over allegations of inciting conflict between the Tigrayan people and the central government, according to his lawyer. Soon after war broke out in November last year, the federal government seized the Tigray capital and appointed an interim administration. Abraha Desta's court appearance comes a day after the UN Security Council held a closed-door meeting to discuss the expulsion of 7 UN officials by the Ethiopian government. Our correspondent Girum Chala has more.
Arrested on Thursday night, Abraha Desta was accused of inciting conflict between the federal government and the Tigray regional state, as you've said, after he wrote an open letter for the mayor of Addis Ababa city, Adana Chabebe, calling for an alleged arrest of Tigrayans to be stopped. On the other hand, the police is also accusing him of holding illegal firearm in his possession. So he has appeared in court on Saturday and expecting another appointment in that court. A few background. Abraha Desta is a former leader of a Tigray opposition party named Arena. He was once or twice also was arrested by the TPLF before. And after the Ethiopian Federal Force took over Mekelle City, he was assigned as a social affairs bureau head for the provisional administration by the federal government. Now he is detained and is waiting for his trial. The government is saying that everything is going to be handled according to the rule and the law of the land, and we should expect to see results in the next few days. So the international pressure is continuing, as you might expect, as the UN is firm standing, calling on the Ethiopian government to reverse its decision of expelling those 7 UN aid workers, most of them from the UN OCHA. The Ethiopian government also is remaining firm. It says that it has a right to expel people, especially those representing the United Nations, if and when they are found meddling in the internal affairs of the country, walking away from their official mandate of serving the people who are in need in the northern part of the country at the moment, or people across the country needing for humanitarian aid. Government is going to be formed, the new one, under Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed's Prosperity Party. We're expecting a few more developments in his speech when he's perhaps going to take office after the parliament decides to do so. So we have to wait as well tomorrow to hear the latest. But so far what we know is the foreign ministry is firm standing that it is demanding the replacement of these 7 people without any apologies from any party. And then they're also waiting for the UN to put some kind of explanation as to why these people have taken measures of meddling in the security and internal affairs of the nation.
Management at Angola's largest open-pit diamond mine, Katoka, says an overflow pipeline that ruptured near a tailings dam has now been repaired and the spill contained with minimal environmental damage. The rupture in July caused mining waste known as tailings to leak into the Lova River, a tributary of the Chikapa River in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. Angela Kupla spoke to the mine's management.
Management confirmed that following the July 27th rupture, inspection teams identified the rupture point and also surveyed and scanned the dam structure and pipes to check for any more cracks using drones and geophysical radar. The red-coloured mining waste or sediment was plain to see.
Downstream, we were building dams. The purpose was to retain, to hold the sediment.
At the same time, mine teams were on the banks of the two affected rivers taking water samples, which were sent to independent laboratories for analysis.
There were no heavy metals. All the parameters were in accordance with what is permitted, except for turbidity as well as the color.
The laboratory tests also confirmed the amount of red-coloured waste or tailings sediment in the rivers was above normal.
The actual extent of what was happening during this leak is 26 grams per litre, 26 grams of sediment per litre.
The mine says it brought in external specialists and academics to monitor and assess the biodiversity of one of the affected rivers.
We made a so-called technical scientific expedition where certain universities made part of that expedition, as well as Angola's Environment Ministry, certain independent organizations, environmental institutes, private companies, and that was a whole expedition throughout the whole course of the river to see, to assess, actually, the biodiversity of that course of the whole river.
Citing the DRC's Environment Minister, Reuters reported that 12 people died and 4,400 fell sick in Southern Democratic Republic of Congo following the tailings leak. Mine management says their research of the river on the Angola side shows no such impacts.
Well, in all the area affected from Katoka to Mark 13, which is the border between Angola and Congo, there have been no deaths, illnesses or sicknesses registered.
The matter remains unresolved, the mine's claiming that its leak didn't cause those deaths, while the Democratic Republic of Congo government are claiming compensation. I'm Angelo Coppola for CGTN in Johannesburg, South Africa.
The Democratic Republic of Congo is, however, standing their ground that 12 people were killed as a result of the leak. CGTN's Chris Chamringa reports from Kinshasa.
I spoke to a senior official from the Ministry of Environment here in the DRC, and he said that the Angolan mining firm can say whatever they please. What they know for a fact is that there was a leak, a very serious leak, that turned the river Chikapa red, and that they confirmed from the local officials in that area that 12 people died and 4,400 people fell sick because of drinking contaminated water. And there was a number of fish that died and people who were complaining of diarrhea. The government here still maintains that those people need to be compensated. The Angolan company Katoka said they had offered some food and other relief items to the people, but the Congolese are saying it's not enough. Now, we also spoke to some officials from the Angolan embassy here last month about this demand by the DRC for compensation, and they say that this matter is being taken up at a very high level by officials from both countries. He was a diplomat who refused to divulge what actions will be taken, but he said that they will ensure that they come up with a resolution that is acceptable to all parties affected by this disaster. When this accident happened, the DRC government sent the Minister of Environment, the Minister of Rural Development, and the Minister of Health to that area in Kasai to assess the damage and also find some ways to provide some emergency support to the people who are affected. And so what they did, they gave food, water, and medicine to the people. But like I mentioned earlier, the government said that is not enough. The people in that area, especially those who lost their loved ones, the 12 people who are said to have died, have to be compensated. And they're saying the compensation must be made by the Angolan diamond firm. And that is what their demand has been until now. So they are working with the Angolan authorities. Now, this latest information from the Angolan diamond firm will certainly create some tensions among the Congolese people who have been, pushing very hard to get compensated for the people who are affected by this disaster.
Libya's Joint Military Commission has held its first meeting in the capital, Tripoli. The commission previously held its meetings in Sirte, which is considered a neutral city by rival regional forces. The UN mission in Libya praised the meeting in the capital as Eastern military commanders were welcomed in Western territories. Here's Adel Mahri with more.
Libya's Joint Military Commission has taken a landmark step this week by meeting in Tripoli. It's the first time military leaders representing Western and Eastern territories meet in the Libyan capital since the commission was founded last year.
This is another good step in developing the security status all over Libya. This commission signed the Geneva Agreement last year, giving it responsibility to restore stability, ensure the opening of airspace, highways, and securing the oil fields. Meeting in Tripoli shows that they are steadily progressing, and that gives the impression that they can pave the way to secure the elections.
Commander General Stephen Townsend of the United States Africa Command and the U.S. Ambassador to Libya Richard Norland both joined the joint military meeting. Rival military leaders discussed with U.S. officials the means to turn the current ceasefire into a lasting truce. The meeting also tackled the biggest security issues, including the withdrawal of all foreign forces and fighters and the full unification of Libyan military institutions.
To have the AFRICOM commander and the U.S. ambassador in the meeting, along with the UN envoy, indicates a strong willingness from the international community to implement in full the Berlin II conference outcomes and the Geneva Agreement. Their presence shows that the international community is in coherence for that, and that they realize that the security repercussions on Africa and Europe because of instability in Libya will be grave if the situation lasts long.
Libya's Joint Military Commission is made up of 10 military commanders equally representing rival forces in the east and west of the country. Tripoli's meeting is a step that may be helpful in building trust. The Joint Military Commission has already achieved major progress by maintaining the ceasefire, opening Libya's airspace and highways for civilian travel. Their main task now is to create a timeline for the evacuation of all foreign fighters from Libya. With suspicion surrounding Libyan rivals, they must guarantee the evacuation of fighters without tipping the current balance of power between the East and West. Adel Mahroui, CGTN, Cairo.
Nigerians are reaping the benefits of the new terminal at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport. China assisted the project and its Belt and Road Initiative. CGTN's Kelechi Mekalam reports.
A hive of activities at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport terminal in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. Media practitioner Bolade Kingsworth is one of the frequent flyers here. He's heading back to his base in Istanbul after visiting family and friends. His previous travel experience through the old terminal had been unpleasant, but that changed since the launch of the new terminal building.
Like an international airport for real. I mean, the other one was like a local airport, and it was very choked in. It was small, and everybody was scrambling to get through and all that. Something good like this, and you ask us to pay, we'll be like, yeah, let's pay, because we see what you're doing with the money.
The airport terminal sits on approximately 56,000 square meters of land with a capacity of 15 million passengers annually. It was constructed by Chinese firm CCECC and funded from China's Exim Bank. Industry players admit the benefits have been enormous.
A lot of people have been gainfully employed in the terminal and what have you. The terminal has been able to secure for the first time the ASQ award, Airport Service Quality Awards. The airport is well fortified. All our machines are serviceable. That is to boost the confidence of our esteemed passengers that passes through the airport. Our camera CCTV have tremendously assisted us in unhacking a lot of things that have happened.
The facility on ground and the size of the airport has made it so easier for airlines to fly in their numbers to Abuja Unlike before, when airline has to take turn, airline has to request for landing permits and wait for approval just because of inadequate space for them to park.
However, there are more gains to be achieved as authorities have yet to fully maximize the potential of the facility.
There are a lot of shopping area, duty-free spaces that have not been occupied. I think the government really need to look into that. I mean, the FAN, the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria, really need to look at commercializing that facility more because a lot of spaces that are not utilized.
This is one of 4 new terminals constructed in Nigeria through China's Belt and Road Initiative. The projects cost a total $600 million, a $500 million loan from China Exim Bank, and $100 million counterpart funding from Nigeria. Industry players believe that China's assisted projects like this would bring Nigeria closer to bridging its infrastructure gap, especially in the transportation sector. Kelechi Emekalam, CGTN Abuja, Nigeria.
A snake performer on the south coast of Kenya has made a career through his bond with the reptiles. What started as a hobby has now grown into a full-time job. CGTN's Dina Matengo reports.
He describes himself as a snake charmer of Kwale County. 38-year-old Arafat Manyoka has a bulging purse full of the reptiles, but he hasn't always had this type of relationship with snakes.
Back then, when I was 6 years old, I had the courage of killing snakes. Whenever I saw a snake, I had to kill it. And most of my life, I loved hunting and fishing at the forests. So many other times I would meet a snake and kill it. Instead of killing them, I thought to myself, I should maybe try to invest or keep them, and I can get an income with the snakes.
From the black mamba, green mamba, cobra, boomslang, purfadder, and even crocodiles. He makes a living off these creatures with his adrenaline-packed shows. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, Manyoka used to rake in between $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
I have a talent, and even the community has agreed I have a talent. When I look at a snake like this, I can tell whether it can bite, whether it's pregnant, whether it's crazy.
His wife Aziza Chiboga has gotten used to the idea of living with the snakes.
2 months to 3 months.
I was touching them from a distance, but with time I got used to them, and now I can even sleep in the house alone when he travels. We allow our children to go around the snakes, but not the poisonous ones.
Manyoka's experience with the snake has not always been positive.
I've been bitten twice by the snakes. I've been bitten by the green mamba, and in 15 minutes I had been paralyzed. I couldn't speak, I couldn't turn my head, I couldn't turn my eyes, and I couldn't open my mouth, all under 15 minutes. The green mamba has a fast-reacting neurotoxin, but by good luck, I got to the hospital facility within 15 minutes. In 17 minutes, they had started giving me the antivenom.
Despite the near-death experience, he hopes to pass his craft to the younger generation and is mentoring some of his employees.
I started very slow, starting with lizards. From lizards, I moved to frog. From frogs, I moved to non-venomous snakes. And it was that until I read the poisonous snake. This is the place I started learning about snake handling and rearing.
According to snake conservationists, snakes contribute greatly to our biodiversity and ecosystem stability.
It is in this village in Mwamanga, Kwale County, that Arafat Manyoka, the snake charmer, hosts one of the world's most poisonous reptile breeds, and despite knowing the perils, he hopes to expand this project to other communities in his region as a way to increase awareness about the need to conserve reptiles in this area. Reporting for CGTN Africa, I'm Dina Matengo in Kwale, South Coast, Kenya. To sports news now, Kenya's Jocelyn Jepkosgei won a thrilling women's London Marathon on Sunday as world record holder and defending champion Bridget Kosgei faded late in the race to finish outside the podium places. Jepkosgei, the reigning New York Marathon champion,